Concussion facts for student athletes. This presentation has 4 objectives. We'd like to explain what a concussion is, discuss how to prevent concussions, review the symptoms of a concussion, and describe what to do if you think you have a concussion. A concussion is a brain injury. They're caused by a blow to the head or to the body. They can be caused by contact with another player, hitting a hard surface such as the ground, ice, or floor, or being hit by a piece of equipment such as a bat or a stick. A concussion can change the way your brain works. These brain injuries can range from mild to severe and present differently for each athlete. Concussion can occur during practice or competition in any sport. A concussion does not require a loss of consciousness. Concussions can be prevented. There are some basic steps you can take to protect yourself. Do not initiate contact with your head or helmet, and avoid striking an opponent in the head. To help prevent a concussion, you should always follow the rules of your sport organization or governing body, and practice good sportsmanship at all times. You can also help prevent a concussion by practicing and perfecting the skills of your sport. A concussion is a functional, not a structural injury to the brain. It changes your brain function. You can't see a concussion. If you sustain a concussion, you might notice some of the symptoms right away, or symptoms can show up hours or days after the injury. Any one or combination of these symptoms requires a complete evaluation and concussion assessment. Amnesia, or an inability to remember events, is a symptom of concussion. The loss of memory can include being unable to recall events that took place before the concussion event, or an inability to remember events since the time of the concussion. Confusion and a feeling of being disoriented about your surroundings and the events around you is a common concussion symptom. Teammates are often the ones who identify a fellow player who is acting confused or not themselves. Headache is the most common of all the concussion symptoms and is found in 90% of all concussions. While a constant headache is a common concussion symptom, a headache that is increasing in intensity or becoming more focused in location needs prompt attention. Having an altered state of consciousness is an obvious symptom of a concussion. Everything from being dazed and seeing stars to blacking out can represent changes in your level of consciousness. You do not have to lose consciousness to sustain a concussion. Concussion symptoms may also include nausea or a feeling you may vomit. It is not uncommon to vomit after sustaining a concussion. However, repeated vomiting, more than 2 to 3 times, following a concussion may be a red flag for more serious injury and required immediate evaluation. Sluggishness, feeling like you're in a fog, or a groggy feeling can also occur with a concussion. This may be accompanied by a feeling of fatigue and sleeplessness. A general sense of everything around you being slowed down can accompany these sensations. Displaying unusual emotions or irritability can be a sign of a concussion. Mood swings that are outside the normal behavior can signal a concussion injury. Recognizing when a teammate is displaying these emotions can be helpful in identifying someone who needs to be evaluated for a concussion. If you're having trouble concentrating or remembering things, such as parts of the game, a play you want to run, or what's happening in a team meeting, you might have a concussion. Cognitive abilities involving concentration are often used to help assess concussion, and schoolwork may be problematic for patients with this symptom. Not unlike the sensation of being in a mental fog, having athletes with concussion symptoms can have slowed reaction times that can impact performance and put you at risk for further injury. If you're not careful, you can make your symptoms worse. Exercise or activities that involve a lot of concentration, such as studying, working on the computer, or playing video games, may make your concussion symptoms reappear or get worse.
Concussion is a brain injury. We think of it as a more mild brain injury, but I would really say each concussion is a little bit different, and some patients can have more mild symptoms, and some patients can really have quite severe symptoms. I think we consider it a functional brain injury, not a structural brain injury, meaning when we do advanced imaging like a CT scan or an MRI, we don't see intracranial bleeds, but we know probably at a cellular level there really is structural injury to the brain, but not that we can detect with our current standard clinical imaging. Patients and athletes can have a whole wide spectrum of symptoms, and I think what makes concussion diagnosis challenging is that those symptoms can overlap with other causes for those symptoms. So I think really understanding what some of the symptoms are and can help with sort of recognizing the injury I think there's still a misconception that you have to have lost consciousness to be diagnosed with a concussion, and that has been absolutely, I think, disproven in the literature. Most people who sustain a concussion did not lose consciousness for any significant period of time. Concussion can be caused, obviously, by a direct blow to the head, but it could also be caused by indirect blow to the head, meaning a blow to the body, or the body hits the ground, and then sort of a secondary indirect blow or whiplash injury to the head. So that's sort of another common misconception, that you have to have taken a direct blow to your head to have sustained concussion. Certainly one of the most common symptoms that patients and athletes do report would be headache, dizziness, noticing difficulty with their balance and coordination, sensitivity to light and noise, which can be particularly problematic in public spaces where there's lots of stimulation. From a mood or emotional standpoint, many patients and athletes notice that they are more irritable, anxious, kind of more emotional than normal. People who know them well may notice that they don't seem quite like themselves personality-wise. From a sort of thinking or cognition standpoint, many people can have trouble with problem solving, remembering, concentrating, staying on task, which obviously if you're a student can be a real problem, completing your academic work, or even if you're out of school and an adult working can really be a problem for people at their job if they're having trouble with some of those cognitive tasks. I think from a prevention standpoint, obviously if you're participating in a helmeted sport, to always have your helmet on. That also includes skiing, snowboarding, bicycles, scooters, which certainly can cause concussion here on this campus. I think style of play can also matter. So I think that's one thing coaches can work with athletes on. If you tend to sort of play in a certain way where you lead with your head, or you're targeting another player's head, that's behavior that we really want to discourage. And in some sports, it's penalized or should be penalized for intentional or even unintentional contact to the head.
So if you think you have a concussion, what should you do? There are 4 key steps to consider if you think you have a concussion. First, don't hide your concussion. Tell your athletic trainer and coach. Never ignore a blow to the head. Also tell your athletic trainer and coach if one of your teammates might have a concussion. Sports have injury timeouts and player substitutions, so you can get checked out. Report your concussion. Do not return to participation in a game, practice, or other activity with symptoms. The sooner you get checked out, the sooner you may be able to return to play. Get checked out. The team physician, athletic trainer, or healthcare professional can tell you if you have had a concussion and when you're cleared to return to play. A concussion can affect your ability to perform everyday activities, your reaction time, balance, sleep, and classroom performance. And then take time to recover. If you've had a concussion, your brain needs time to heal. While your brain is still healing, you are much more likely to have a repeat concussion. In rare cases, repeat concussions can cause permanent brain damage and even death. Severe brain injury can change your whole life. Remember, it's better to miss one game than an entire season. So when in doubt, get checked out.